Tech here today with a $300 budget build gaming video for you guys. And usually I wouldn't really spend $300 on a gaming video, but I have been getting a lot of requests for a video like this. And honestly, with APUs and AMD coming out with all of their GPU integrated processors, I feel like $300 is pretty doable if you look at the prices of all the things that you're buying and you be a smart buyer. To start off this build, I decided to go with an AMD APU, and it is the A10 6790K clocked at 4.0 gigahertz. Now, this processor is pretty much a 6800K, but it does not support up to 2133 megahertz of RAM. So you only get 1866 megahertz of RAM, and that is basically the only difference other than the lower clock speed. Other than that, the integrated GPU is the same, and the CPU is in hindsight pretty much the same, just with, like I said, a lower clock speed. So for being $10 less, I feel like it would fit right into this budget very well. Now for the motherboard, I decided to go with the MSI A55M E33 FM2 Plus motherboard. Now, I would say the only downside of this motherboard is the fact that it doesn't have USB 3.0, but that is not a problem as I get later into the build. Other than that, it comes with PCI Express 3.0 slots, so in case you decide to go for a higher end graphics card, you can always take advantage of that higher bandwidth in the PCI Express 3.0 slots. Other than that, it's a micro ATX board, and it supports up to 32 gigs of RAM, and the only downside with the RAM is that this can support up to 2133, but because of the processor, you really can only go to up to 1866. But for only $50 with free shipping, you can't really complain with this board. Now, when you build a gaming PC, you really do want to go with 8 gigs of RAM, but because of the $300 price point that we're at, we really couldn't fit that into the budget, so I went with 4 gigs of 1866 megahertz RAM. And the reason I went with 1866 is specifically because we're using an APU, and an APU works a ton better with higher clocked memory. Now, 2133 is only a few bucks more, but because of the 6790K, we can't really take advantage of that 2033 since it won't support up to that high of a frequency. But with 1866, you will get a few percent increase in terms of frames per second than over 1600 megahertz or 1333 megahertz. So being only 40 bucks, I feel like this 4 gigs of RAM would be really beneficial for this $300 build. There's not really much you can say with storage considering that we only have $300 to spend overall, but I really did want to give you guys enough storage so you can at least download and play a few games without really having to worry about if you have enough space. So I decided to go with 500 gigabyte hard drive, that's 7200 RPM. And there's not really much to say about this other than that 500 gigs should be enough for starting out, and you can always upgrade later since hard drive prices are really dropping considering that SSDs are becoming the norm now for most PCs. Now, when I was looking for a case, I really tried to look for the one that was the cheapest, but that was still pretty decent build quality. And I ended up finding the CFI Prime 223 Mid-Tower ATX case. Now, the only thing I would say I dislike about this case is the fact that they try to make it look like it's a gaming case when it really isn't, especially when you look inside. You can see that it has really bright red screwless locks, which don't look very good. But other than that, it works well and it functions the way it's meant to function. Not only that, but also has USB 3.0 ports in the front, and as I said, this does make up for the lack of USB 3.0 on the motherboard, so you at least have one slot that you can use for USB 3.0. Other than that, it has a blue LED fan in the front that you can use that comes with the case itself, and it's only about $25 with free shipping, so it fits really well into this build. And lastly, for the power supply, I went with the Antec Basic 350 watt power supply. Now, unfortunately, this power supply is not 80 plus certified, but considering that this build is not very power hungry in general, that isn't that much of an issue. Other than that, Antec is a pretty good brand, and you'll get all the watts that you really do pay for. And considering that this is 30 bucks, you can't really go wrong, especially since it has free shipping as well as a lot of the other parts in this list. So that was a $300 budget build video for you guys, and if you guys found this helpful or anything, don't be scared to leave a like or comment or any suggestions down below in the comments. That is it for this video, guys. Stay tuned, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.